Hello. Hey, Laura. How are you? It's been a long
Hey,
time.
Kel. Yeah, it's been a very long time. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm all good, thank you. So, you recently published your first book. What's it
I
called?
did.
What is it about?
It's called Caged by My Eating Disorder, but then in Dutch. And it's actually about, yeah, my eating disorder. It's a bit my trajectory over the past 2 years and a half.
Hmm.
But I also give tips and tricks for people suffering from an eating disorder and also for their environment. And that's quite innovative in that way that my boyfriend is also talking in the book, as well as my parents and a few experts who give their opinion. And it's kind of like a self-help book now. Like people, so both people suffering from it as their parents can resort to it to find useful tips if they don't want to go into a hospital or a center, which where they lock you up basically.
Hmm.
So it's with recipes, it's with exercises, it's with my story, professionals talking, giving some more insights in the disease. And like people think that an eating disorder is mostly refusing to eat or not liking food, but that's
Hmm.
not the case at all. So it goes way beyond that. It goes way deeper, and I try to break the shame a bit and talk about it
Yeah.
to make it, because mental health is very important nowadays, even more.
Hmm.
And I try to focus on that so that more people become aware of it and that more help can be provided because that's necessary.
Yeah, that's great. And I read your book, and even though it doesn't apply to my life or people around me, I think it was a very compelling story. So it's well written and everything. And I want to go into a few things that I read a little bit deeper. And I want to
Mhm.
start with the very start of your book, the very start of your journey, maybe before everything started for you. And it's where you tell that you wanted to go to Mexico, to Colombia, to South America, because you wanted to escape the like typical life that we have here. Like we say, like hey shit, don't you, can't you, and everything. Like that's something that you didn't want. Is that how have has this entire experience changed you? Do you still feel the same, or
No,
what
absolutely
changed?
not. Yeah, that was the best experience of my life. Honestly, it's such a cliche to say, but
Hmm.
I just booked my one-way ticket to Mexico. I was 20 something. I think I was 22 or 20, 22 years old. And I booked this one-way ticket, not knowing where I would end up and for how long I would be gone. But that felt like the right thing to do because I felt like I didn't really have a place here in Belgium where I live. I've always felt it that way.
Hmm.
I've always wanted to go abroad for a very long time, and after my studies, it was a perfect timing. Um, I hate the typical routine here and the rat race we are in. And that was my way out. So I traveled to Mexico and then I ended up months later in Ecuador and then even in Asia before I came back to Europe. And the reason I came back was because of an ex-boyfriend. Which was a very bad decision because 3 weeks later we broke up. So I had come back for nothing.
Yeah, that's a shame.
That was a total waste. So I'm still wondering now. It's 4 years later, and I'm still wondering what would have happened if I had stayed there. Would have not developed the eating disorder because when I
Hmm.
got back, it all started because I didn't really fit in here anymore, and
Uh-huh.
I had lost so many things, and I realized that South America was a place that I wanted to live and that I felt at home. And here, I just didn't fit in. I lost many friends. I didn't feel good with my family. I didn't really have a job here, or at least not a job that I liked.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I didn't see the I didn't see why it was useful to be here. And then, I think that's when my eating disorder must have developed.
Uh-huh.
Although back then it was still not an eating disorder. It's just I started doing sports a lot and I started eating even more healthily. I was a vegetarian already, but
Yeah.
I went further in that and it all exploded.
Hmm. Yeah. And you, when you were in South America, you already started doing some writing and making some videos.
Mhm.
I think what's called from Frank and the Nomaden, is that correct? So, some
Yes.
kind of travel documentary?
Yeah, it was more, for example, when I was in Mexico, it was right period of the aardbeving.
Yeah, earthquake.
Earthquake. So when I was in Mexico, it was the time of the earthquakes there, and I went with my camera in hand, talking to people, making good shots, and trying to give an overview of what was happening over there, so that it would come in the news here as well.
Mm-hmm.
I also wrote articles for their online website. It was on a voluntary basis, but it was kind of like I've always wanted to be a journalist, and it was to start off as a journalist and get some name that people would know my name a bit here.
Do you think that set you up for later? So like, did it help you? Did that experience help you to write your book now?
No, that not. But I've always been involved in writing anyway. So I've always been writing in notebooks and things that I'm thinking or feeling, or even short stories. So it's not as if I had to start from zero. I've always had something with writing. But not specifically in South America. It's not that it's all started there. No, I've always wanted to write a book. I just never knew what to write about for my first book.
Okay, so there will be more books.
Yes, I'm already brainstorming. Well, I'm already starting off a second one. So I hope that's going to be the start of many. Yes, because that's really something I want to focus on in the future. I want to go out of that corporate copywriting business, and I want to just do creative writing and making documentaries and more the creative process, you know.
That sounds amazing. Can you give away some details about the next book, or is it still all a secret?
If all goes well, it's gonna be also, well, it's not gonna be a follow-up on my recovery, but in some way it will be, because it's gonna be about body as well, the body, but more how people are disconnected from their bodies and ways to like with alternative methods, ways to connect again with your body, and why people try to fit in here, but actually it doesn't. You don't need to be. I mean, like it's still in the process of. I mean, I still need to find a good structure and stuff, but it's gonna be about body image and ways of dealing with trying to fit in and be okay with yourself.
Okay.
But not so cliche as it sounds again.
Sorry?
It's not gonna be as cliche as it sounds again, but because now it sounds like one in like
another self-help book.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be that case. It's gonna be again with insights of professionals and really like in-depth investigations abroad as well. And so
yeah. Can we go a bit technical? How do you think, or can you explain how the entire process will look from brainstorming to publishing this next book?
So first thing is having a real good idea and knowing what the core concept of your book is going to be. Like, it's not enough, as I'm saying right now, it's going to be about body. No, it needs to be one specific theme, and then there can be more general information around it, but first start off with specific information, and then laying out a good structure. That structure can still change over the course of when you're writing, but it's very important to know from the start. That's what I did with my other book, like the different chapters, providing titles for each chapter, and then copy and paste like all the writings and trying to make it fit in each chapter, and then adding professionals who are going to talk about it, then adding exercises again. So it's like all cut, paste, cut again, rewrite, adapting the structure as well. And then the research, of course.
Is there anything you're going to do differently this time?
With my first book, I had to write a book in 1.5 months because my publisher really, like, they contacted me. We wanted to write a book about the documentary that we had already made. But the deadline was 1.5 months away, because they wanted to publish it right before the documentary would come out. And it needed to go to, like marketing, then to the CEOs and the press and stuff. So I think what's going to be different is that right now I'm going to have more time, and I'm going to not put so much pressure on myself, and like take the time to have the full picture and to include as many aspects as I want to, and not hurry. Although I must say that it was quite good to have such a short deadline, because that really incited me to continue writing day in, day out. And if you don't have that deadline, then you might like put it a bit off sometimes, or yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking now, I read your book, and a big part of that book says, I can't sit still. I always need to do something. But for my recovery, I need to sit still.
Yep.
And I feel that by giving you this very short deadline, that maybe the publisher was not respecting your recovery. How do you feel about that?
I'm sure that that was not their intention.
Of course.
And also, yeah, you could be right, but then again, I was forced to sit all the time. So maybe it put pressure on me emotionally and like psychologically.
Yeah.
Although I was not that stressed until the last 5 days before I had to go to the final edit. But then physically I had to sit all the time. So that was a good thing. I didn't have the time to go for a walk or to, like I had to write. I had to do it right then. So I had to sit still. So in that way it was.
Okay.
And also writing gives me not that much of a stress, it's like also it was a process for me of making sense of everything and clearing some things up. So in that regard, it was good for my recovery.
Okay, it had a therapeutic effect as well. Are you generally Are you generally happy with the publisher? Because most people I talk to are self-published authors. So for your next book?
I'm very happy. They help. Yeah, I would love to work with them again. If they would have me, I'd love to work with them again. They were a great help. They responded very quickly all the time. Whenever I had a problem, they would listen to me or give me advice. Also, they took care of all the marketing. They put me in contact with somebody for the layout, and that person she was everything I needed. I mean, I told her exactly what I wanted. I gave her the colors. I gave her some images and stuff, and she would just make the book that I really had in mind. So I'm very happy. Yes.
Yeah, I think the editing was a great job. I like the little details with the flowers and the different colors and everything.
Yeah, it's just completely Laura, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want a black and white book, which I first had proposed. I mean, I really had to fight for the colored book because then it would become more expensive. And they were like, yeah, no. But I said, okay, if it's not going to be a book in colors and with a lot of images, then there's not going to be a book at all.
Yeah.
And in the end, they agreed and they made it just like I wanted.
Awesome. So it will only be sold as a hardcover?
Yep. Yeah.
Are you thinking about publishing it as an ebook later on?
Yes, and we're talking about that right now, and also we're probably gonna make a podcast of it.
Okay, as an audiobook or an actual podcast with conversations?
We're still thinking, or a podcast so that I can also give comments at the same time on what I wrote, or an audiobook, or maybe the both. But right now I'm still very busy with everything that has come after the launch of the book, so it's going to be something for the winter, I think.
Okay, that's awesome. Right, so you wrote this book, you created the documentary. What else was part of this entire package?
What do you mean, in my recovery or related to the book?
So let me rephrase this question. So you created a documentary, you wrote a book, and it's like all one big product about your recovery. What else did you create related to the book and to the documentary?
Well, after the documentary and the book came out, I mean, on social media, it just exploded. I've been getting messages, like thousands of messages of people with different questions, like asking me for help, asking advice on things, on food, on rest and movement, on this creation of self-love, then also about writing itself, like people asking, how do you start writing? It's just impossible. I was trying to answer everybody personally, but it's impossible to give a good qualitative response to everybody. So I decided that we would make an online course. So I created my website, LauraEvilMonkey.com. And on that, it's gonna be a platform on which we provide online courses. So the first one is gonna be published in December, and it's gonna be related to the upcoming holidays, because people with an eating disorder really have a lot of stress surrounding food and these gatherings with family and friends. So it's gonna be an online course related to that. And then the second one is gonna be published a month later or something on another topic or more general, or so we're trying to, me and my boyfriend, we're trying to provide a full package.
Yeah, that's cool. There's also one thing that you didn't mention now, but you mentioned in your book about your 8 weeks to hot pants. So you put a kind of like online course or program that you launched to gain weight in 8 weeks, and
Exactly.
it's related to something that maybe you're not so familiar with, building in public. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So it's where you're creating something, and while you're creating it, you're sharing what you're doing, how you're creating it. So what you did with these 8 weeks into hot pants is, while you were creating it, you were doing everything yourself and uploading everything on Instagram. So you're showing the people like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm creating it, and like these are all the steps of the way. So you're actually making a better product by sharing your daily progress and getting feedback from people.
Yeah.
Is this something that you also considered for your book?
How so considered for my book? Like
So,
for the next?
Yeah, for the next book, like, are you just going to write it for yourself and then here's the finished product, or are you going to share like pieces as you write it?
I might be sharing. I mean, when I'm gonna do the research, I'm gonna share about it anyway. So I'm gonna have feedback on that. And I think social media has a really good impact on the writing process as well, in my case, because it's a topic that relates to many people. So many people can find themselves in my story, even though they don't have an eating disorder, or they might not have that much of a body image. There's always something. It's always fun. Everybody has their own mental struggle. So whenever I'm doing something, I get reactions, and I try to include those remarks or these questions in my research. And I will definitely do so, yes. Because also, on the other hand, people might inspire me, or they might come up with a new idea or something that I wouldn't have thought of. And then I might investigate that as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's always a big help.
Yes.
Then moving on to the next question. You are a perfectionist, right?
Yes.
Do you think that was a help or a struggle while writing your book?
During writing, I think that was a help. Because, well, yeah, no, it might have been a struggle, but I wouldn't, because I would write and rewrite, but then again, I think that's necessary to have a good book in the end. So I think my perfectionism also took a lot of work out of the hands of my publishers and the people who had to reread it. But yeah, honestly, because they didn't have to make that many changes. They were quite, like, from the start, the first draft I sent them, they were like, yeah, we barely have any remarks. So I think that might have come to the benefit of this book, yes.
Ja. Sorry, ik ben even verward. Er komt net iemand binnen. Ik ga het toch even knippen. Yeah. Okay, so you said there were very little edits from your editors. Was that mainly, so did I have a look at like the copy editing or also at the structural like flow of your book?
A bit of both. Like at the start, I just had to send over the structure of the book. They added some things like, oh, maybe you could do this or that. But in the end, they actually, they just let me do my thing, to be honest. And then on the content itself, they made a few remarks, or they were like, this is a bit too long, or you might go a bit more deeper deeper into that topic. But generally, there were not that many remarks of them.
Okay. What surprises me a little bit is like I mentioned this before, that you're someone who says that you can't relax, you can't sit still, always need to do something. So it's quite remarkable that despite this, you've like found the time to like kind of relax and find the right structure to write your book, because you know, to write, you also need time to think.
Yes. But then again, that's a creative process. And it's true, I cannot sit still, but it would often happen that I was taking a walk when I was out of inspiration, and I would come back with so many ideas. Because we moved recently, and we have this house which is surrounded by beautiful nature here, and it's really inspiring. So I would then, after my 1 hour walk, which I'm actually not allowed to do, but still after my walk, I would come back totally refreshed and sit still for 2 hours and write. And that would really, it made me happy. It made me relaxed, at ease, and satisfied, you know.
Do you have any other like sources of creative input, like walks? Where else do you get your ideas?
Where do I get my inspiration? Well, I'm mostly, the inspiration I take from my own life and from the things I've experienced and I've lived, but also I dance, and dancing and music, like a combination of the two, inspires me as well. Especially music can inspire me, and then nature and spending time like where I don't have to think, but thoughts come automatically, you know. Those moments, the sea, the beach, the wave, the sound of the waves, sounds. I'm really sounds inspire me. Also odors, like smells might inspire me as well.
So how does that relate to writing? So can you explain like in detail, like you hear the waves, does that bring you ideas, or is it just because it relaxes you?
No, yeah, both. It relaxes me, but it also brings me ideas, because it inspires me. For example, it reminds me of something from the past, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna write about. With a smell, it might remind me of a childhood memory that I had long forgotten, and then I come up with a new idea again. Or so in that way, it inspires me.
Yeah, and then you write about that in your journal, or do you write about it publicly?
No, not publicly right now. Not. Sometimes on Instagram, I make a post and then I write some of my writings with it, but mostly it's still hidden and private until I'm ready to publish.
I think you journal often. How long have you been journaling?
For about 2 years, I think. But no, longer. When I'm abroad, I journal. But then in Belgium, because of the hasty life here, it's often, I often forget or don't find the time to do so. But since 2 years, I also try to, each morning or evening, I try to journal a bit. And then it's mostly, I talk about what I'm grateful for that day, because it's kind of therapy for me. And at the same time, you write what you've been doing or what has been important that day, or what you've learned or people you've encountered. So it's not journaling, but it's kind of this gratefulness diary. Yeah.
Do you think that's been important for your writing? Has it helped you to write this book?
Yeah, it might, because writing down what you're grateful for makes you appreciate more small things. Like stupid things that I might write down might be a call from my dad. Like my dad called me today. He talked about that. If I wouldn't write it down, I wouldn't be as grateful for it. But now I really feel like, oh, he's so sweet, and he called me just to say that, and that means he's thinking of me, and then I feel better. Yes, it makes me feel better.
That's great. So you also used some of your journal entries in your book, right? And I've noticed across these interviews that most authors journal. Is that something that you would recommend to people that want to write a book?
Yeah, I think if it's a book, well, if it's a non-fiction book, yes. Because then years later, when you write about it and you reread those things, it all comes back, memories come back. And I think that's really helpful in the creating process.
Okay. Then that's about it, what I prepared, but there's always probably more things. So what's something that I didn't ask, but I should have asked?
That you should have asked. Mag ik daar even over nadenken?
Natuurlijk.
Iets dat je zou moeten gevraagd hebben, dat je niet gevraagd hebt. Ja, misschien gewoon voor wie is het boek juist? Maar dat heb ik wel gezegd in het begin. Hè?
Ja, we kunnen gerust nog even verder praten over mental health, want ik heb nu geprobeerd om zo dat informatie over je boek eruit te krijgen en zo over heel het schrijfproces en al, en daardoor niet echt ingegaan op mental health. Het was niet de bedoeling om dat te vermijden, we kunnen zeker eens nu nog over praten, maar wat meestal bij deze interviews krijg ik niet alles eruit wat ik wil, omdat mensen blijven praten en blijven hetzelfde zijn en hetzelfde zijn en hetzelfde zijn. En nu ging het allemaal vrij vlot. Dus hebben we nog wat tijd over. Ik kunnen gerust. En ik heb hier nog één vraagje staan. Ik weet niet of dat je dat al. Je hebt er ook iets van gezegd ook in het boek. En ik denk dat Seth Godin is of zoiets. Die zegt van. Mensen zijn ongelukkig, want ze hebben zo'n 9 out of 10 life. Maar iedereen op Instagram lijkt zo'n 10 out of 10 life te hebben. En daardoor willen we steeds meer en meer. En dat is iets dat ik nog wel misschien iets kort over praten of zo. En,
Oké, ja. Ja, dat is goed.
Dus ja, de vraag was, what's something I didn't ask but should have asked?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to focus more on mental health because, you know, with the influence of social media, I think it's especially young people, they get influenced a lot. They see those, especially on Instagram, they see those perfect lives of people who have the perfect body, the perfect boyfriend or girlfriend. They're sponsored by the most exclusive brands. They travel to the most wonderful places in the world, and their life just seems to be 100% and all going well and without any issues. And I think that it's not only for eating disorders, but for developing any mental health problem, that people might just be like, shit, what's wrong with, sorry for the cursing, what's wrong with my life, and why am I feeling a bit under the weather, or why am I not having that boyfriend who's a model, or those designer clothes or whatever, or that body. So they try to live up to the expectation, because they try to live up to that image that they see, but that's just impossible, because many of those influencers don't share their negative the negative things that happen in their life, because they also have days that things are not going well, and they're breaking up as well with boyfriends and girlfriends, and things might go wrong, and maybe they're not even happy at all. Who knows? Like, you don't know what happens behind the screen. And that's something that I try to break with my with the new Instagram that I made, which is about the eating disorder, but more about mental health, because I share the good days and the good things, but I also share whenever I'm having a very bad day or something bad happens. And that's what people really appreciate, the realness. I'm real. I don't lie. I show them, like, okay, right now I feel bad as hell because I just had to eat that, and it's total attack on my body right now, because I mean, my stomach cannot digest it, and I just feel bad. And people can relate to that, and that's what that's what's maybe more needed, although more people are doing it right now. Also, celebrities are trying to be more real, which I fully support, but there still should be way more focus on that. And also, like, help provided in real life for people struggling with mental issues. Well, it should be more this negotiable. People should be more open to it, less of a taboo, and there should be more instances and centers, and, you know, like those day centers where people can just go to and talk, and that there's not this breach of or this gap they have to cross, or this big step they have to cross, or the financial issues, that they're not a problem and stuff, because it's also help is very expensive. I mean, like, psychologists sometimes ask 100 to 150 an hour, the ones I went to, and it's just crazy. I mean, you cannot expect everyone to be able to pay that. There's just not many places where you can go to if you struggle with mental health. And like with my book, I try to provide a small solution to that, and that people can resort to the book whenever they have an issue. Also, to my social media, to the online course, they can just contact me whenever, and I'm going to try to, whenever I can, I'm going to try to provide an answer, a real answer to that.
Where exactly can people find you on social media?
Well, they can find me via Instagram, which is Laura and her Evil Monkey. But I have the other Instagram account as well, which is more in English, but that's more my travel account, and it's called Laura Wonderland. But when it comes to mental health, Laura and her evil monkey, they can also contact me in English, of course, or in Spanish or French. I don't care. Even in Portuguese. And then they can also find me on Facebook or my website. Contact me via my website, laura-evilmonkey.com.
Okay, perfect.
Or they might send me an email, laura@withlaura.com.
Perfect. Many ways to reach you with any questions about mental health or eating disorders.
And always welcome at my house.
Okay, perfect. So what exactly are you hoping to reach with your book?
My initial goal was if I can help one girl or one woman or one man, it's okay. But now I feel like I've already helped 1,000 of people when I see the reactions and the reaching out. So I think the goal has already been accomplished. But of course, I try to reach a public as large as possible to be able to help or support at least, or provide a little spark again in somebody else's life.
Yeah, I think it's a book directed at a very specific audience with a very specific like mental health problem. But I read it and it made me think about certain things of my life again as well. So I used to be quite organized and do fasting like your boyfriend and like all those things, and I stopped doing it. Like I stopped journaling, I stopped fasting, I stopped doing a lot of exercise because of circumstances, and like just reading all of that just made me think about certain personal things as well. So I think it's a book, as I said, it's just a very compelling story as well. So I think it's a book with a wider audience than perhaps the specific people that you target.
Yeah, that's true, because many people tell me that there's so many people without even knowing anybody with an eating disorder, and they tell me like, okay, I could really recognize so many parts of my life or of reality in it, and it made them think. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Are you planning a translation of this as well?
Yes, but I've talked about that with my publisher. I would like to translate it into English, but I need to wait because they're gonna see if there's other publishers who are interested in the UK, or and I can only go on with it in a year. So after 1 year, I can try to publish it in English.
Okay. Well, in 1 year time, you might have a little audience already for people here listening, eager to read it.
Yeah, well, that would be great, right? Everybody, read it.
Yeah. So okay. 2 more questions. One, my opening question I always forget, so that I end up asking at the end. What is your favorite coffee?
Black.
Just black.
Strong and black, yes.
No milk, no sugar.
Nope.
Any sweeteners?
Nope. Just
Nothing
black.
at all.
Very strong in the morning.
Just one in the morning?
Sorry?
Just one in the morning, or you drink more coffee?
Well, I used to drink 3 in the morning, which was too much, and then I did like this one month of drinking no coffee at all to see what were the effects. And I've experienced a lot of headaches during that month, and like really I had to kick off, like it was rehab. So right now I'm promising myself I can only drink 1 strong coffee in the morning, then a decaf a bit later in the morning, and 1 in the afternoon. I can also drink a normal coffee.
Yeah.
So basically 2 coffees a day.
Yeah, I should do that too. do you relate coffee to writing, or is it?
Yeah, because it's like I always want to have my coffee cup. Like I even have it right now, my girl boss cup. It needs to be beside me to start writing at least.
Yeah, that's so relatable, and it's a bit of a wrong connection. Like
I know
coffee writing, and I like people end up drinking too much coffee, but it's great. Then the final question, Laura, what is your secret?
My secret? I don't have that many secrets when it comes to writing, or secrets in general.
You can choose.
My secret. Oké, wacht, nu moet ik daar even over nadenken. Wat heb ik een geheim?
Het moet niet echt een geheim zijn, het mag gewoon zijn van oké, dat is de voornaamste reden waardoor mijn boek schrijven gelukt is.
Wat zeggen andere mensen zo?
Wat zeggen andere mensen zo? Meestal zijn dat vrij standaard dingen dat ze al eerder eens gezegd hebben, zoals schrijf elke dag of geloof in jezelf, zo van die zo'n dingen. Of ze wel vragen ze aan mij wat aan mijn geheim is. Niet doen dus, want dat hebben ze al gevraagd.
Well, okay, my secret is that I dance a lot in my underwear when I'm alone in the living room.
Okay.
But nobody knows because we don't have any curtains yet on the front. So it's like at night everybody can just look straight into our living room. Luckily on the streets, because it's so quiet here, there's not that many people coming by at night. But yeah, I dance, and I have a crush on Jason Derulo. That's also like I mostly dance on Jason Derulo.
Okay. So do you want me to cut it?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you have people standing in front of your window from now on.
Well, they don't know my address, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, Laura. If you want to repeat one more time where people can find you, if you have any parting messages.
Yeah, so many thanks for listening. People, if you have any questions or you just want to reach out or just talk with me, you can always go to my website, which is laura-evilmonkey.com. Contact me via email, laura@withlaura.com, or find me on social media, which is Laura and her evil monkey.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.